Misty, the water-type gym leader and one of Ash's greatest companions in the Pokemon anime. Just like yesterday when we did the Brock only run, Misty is also a very prominent character in the anime. So that led me to think, what could I do with her? Well, there's one good thing we can do with her, like we did with Brock. Can we beat Pokemon Blue using Misty's anime team? The rules are here and they're down near the description if you want to see, but we can only use Misty's anime team in battle. So, what do we actually do to start off with? Well, Misty, when she starts off in the anime, has 3 Pokemon. That is Staryu, Starmie, and Goldeen. Please don't quote me on that. I think she might have got the Starmie after Cerulean, but either way, we're starting off with those 3 Pokemon. Our rival for today is going to be Starlord. Thank you for subscribing and welcome to the channel. You were actually a very good help in the Nuzlocke video recently. Let's get started with the run. As of course, we need to set up our game, so we always take out the potion and we also set it to fast attack speed, battle animation off, and set mode only. Once set press for Oak takes us to his lab, we meet our rival for today, and then we can choose our first Pokemon. Now, which Pokemon should we choose first? And it's going to be Goldeen, because I feel like this very first fight will be a lot harder with Goldeen in compared to Staryu or Starmie. So once we've done that, we will take on the rival for the first time, and because I haven't turned Game Shark off, you can still see here that we are going against a Staryu. That's my fault here, but I thought it was quite funny that we're going against Missingo to start off with. Once we beat the Missingo, we can then progress on to Cerulean City, pick up the parcel, and then continue on with the run. You can always pick up a free potion from this kid here, and it's always a little bit big. There's about 5 potions you can grab before you even get to Pewter City. I think there may be more, I'm not 100% sure on the hidden ones, but I've found quite a few, and about 5 is usually what I pick up. Once we picked up the parcel, again, we will go back to Oak and grab the Pokédex, which we're not really going to need in this run because we're not doing a Professor Oak run. We are doing the Misty's anime only run. So, now we can get started with the run. The level cap is actually 14, it hasn't gone up yet, but we can capture our first Pokemon with the Staryu and Starmie, and we've got a great team to start off with to go against Brock. Now, Brock is not going to be much of a problem whatsoever, considering we are a full water-type trainer gym. We can also get rid of all the bug catching. It's extremely easy with Goldeen because of Peck. Yeah, I still find it kind of weird that Goldeen learns Peck when Peck I would associate with birds, not fish, even if the fish has got horns. Either way, we progress on to Pewter City, and we are doing this so far at minimum battles because one of the rules of this challenge is we need to beat this before level 50, so we need to complete the entire game and the league and the champion before we reach level 50. Otherwise the challenge is a failure, just like Brock's challenge was yesterday, where his team of 4 Pokemon with Geodude, Onix, Vulpix and Zubat could not beat the league before level 50. I'm really kind of sore about that, to be honest, but I've got high hopes for Misty considering water types are so good in Gen 1. Once we beat Brock very, very easily, we can then progress on to the next part of the journey, which is, of course, the next route on the east of Pewter City. The bug catchers here, again, not a problem really for our Goldeen, apart from when we get poisoned. We managed to take at least 1 down before having to switch out into one of our other Pokemon. Starmie is the highest leveled here, and we do teach it the move Bide. With our Imposter coming up in Cerulean City, we actually will need the move to deal with. We can pick up the Water Gun TM to teach the Staryu, and then progress on to the Rocket before the Super Nerd. Now, Starmie is just easily hands down the best player on this team. It's got the highest base stat total, it's got the best typing with Water Psychic, and as you can tell, neither Psyduck nor Horsey will be able to match up to it. The only one who can really match up to it will be the Staryu, but that's the pre-evolution. So Starmie will eventually be our MVP Pokemon. We can use Bide on the Grimer, but it's not really doing much damage, so we switch to Water Gun. It's always great that it starts with Water Gun instead of like Bubble or just Tackle. But the big thing about Starmie as well, because it's already an evolved Pokemon starting off at level 1 or level 5 in these runs, it actually doesn't learn anything via level up. It will only learn moves via TM, so we need to really pick and choose which TMs we actually teach to Starmie. The rest of the Pokemon though, they will learn level up moves. And that's another boon that Starmie doesn't get via level up moves. Starmie will not learn Recover. Staryu will, but Starmie will not. Going into the Imposter fight against this absolute faker, we start with Starmie using Bide. We are still trying to get through this as minimum battles as much as we can, but Bide actually doesn't work in our favour and we get taken out by the Staryu, which doesn't look great. The imposter's winning right now and Goldeen just can't match up to Staryu. So we're really on the back foot here and we've got one more Pokemon to deal with, so this is obviously going to be a loss. We are not going to be able to stand up to Starmie even though it's 7 levels above us, and we take an L here. Oh well. That brings us to another try, but we're going to go against the rival on Nugget Bridge first. Might as well get a couple levels up here and see if we can actually beat him here. So Water Gun against the Pidgeotto is probably our best move right now unless we decide to stick with Bide, but even at level 14, Starmie can't hold up to the Pidgeotto, leading Staryu to pick up the slack. And from here, we're just going to have to try and get through using Water Gun and Tackle, because we haven't picked up any other good moves. There is another good move coming up soon though, which is Thunder Wave. And yeah, Starmie and Staryu can actually learn Thunder Wave, which is a fantastic utility move for a team at this point in the game. Especially if we want to go back against the Imposter Misty, because, yeah, we really need to get past her. Staryu then gets all the way to the Bulbasaur, and pretty much we're just trying to chip away as much as possible on this Bulbasaur before we can bring in Goldeen. Now Goldeen's a much better matchup for this Bulbasaur because, well, it's got Peck, which is a flying type move. We managed to hold out and Goldeen actually gets us the win there, so first time win against a rival here. Quite happy with that, but we need to go and get some more levels really if we're going to go against our imposter. So we go against all the trainers on Nugget Bridge and bring ourselves to the final rocket guy here. Starmie is easily going to be our best player and we really need some HP on it, so that's why we're going for the levels. Plus from beating this guy here we get access to the Thunderwave TM, which we will teach immediately to Staryu and give it more utility in the team. We can also try and get some more levels against other trainers here, but you know what, with Thunder Wave we might actually have enough to work with here. So first up is Staryu and we are going to go for the Thunder Wave strats. Once it is paralysed we will switch into Goldeen and we'll try and use Goldeen to use Tail Whip and get its defences down, because she does like to use X defense, that Imposter Misty does. Once Goldeen's got a few Tail Whips up though, we'll start using Peck and it's dealing decent damage out, but it does get taken down. That means we can then bring in Starmie. One tackle will take him down. So now it's Starmie v Starmie and we're going to go straight back into Staryu here to get the Thunder Wave off, because with that meaning we can deal a bit of chip damage out before we get taken down, and from there it also means that we can hit first with Bide when it comes in. So we're going to go straight, well yeah, we'll go straight for Bide, we'll just see how much it does, and we're getting hit by a couple of criticals, but it's enough bulk that we've got to get the win, and we take back control of Cerulean Gym. Imposter Misty has been beaten, and we can progress on, meaning we can now go and beat the Rocket with the Dig TM, because we'll need that for our utility Pokemon, the HM Slayers as I like to call them. And I always like to pick up Sandshrew for that. Sandshrew will never be used in fights, but it can be used as a HM Slave. And then we start having some real problems against this Drowsy. Don't know what it is the last couple of runs, but this Drowsy has been a bit of a nightmare. It's quite high leveled at level 19, but Staryu does get the win. Now I'm not looking forward to the next gym leader. Next gym leader of course being Lieutenant Surge, the electric type gym leader, and we are very allergic to electricity. So we need to think of something and think of something fast. I do opt to try and go and get the Body Slam TM, but I don't know if any of our Pokemon can actually learn it. I mean, it would make sense that Staryu and Starmie could, they've got big masses of bodies so they could learn it, but unfortunately no, they can't learn it, so we might have to keep it for one of our later Pokemon pickups. There is also other TMs that we can pick up here. We can pick up the Rest TM, which is TM44 if I believe. And then we start realising that Goldeen is just not very good. I know I've done a Goldeen solo run that did decently getting into the C tier I think, but yeah, it's not very good against a lot of trainers in Kanto really, especially at low levels. So we're going to have to heavily rely on Staryu again. And we're going into this next rival fight very, very soon with very underleveled really. You can see here that I'm really wondering what happened. That little box at the bottom is just Open Emulator. When I bring my mouse cursor over, it just hovers that little menu. So just ignore that. Either way, we've got Bubble Beam on Starmie, and again, Starmie's just the MVP here. It's the built bulkiest, the most powerful. We pick up TM44 and we give the rival a try. He's a lot more threatening in this one, considering the Pidgeotto's at level 19 now. It's got one level up from the previous fight. But Staryu coming in with Thunder Wave just gives us a bit of an edge to start off with. Quick Attack still prioritises though, so he can hit first even though it's paralysed. But from there we can bring in Starmie and hopefully from here get enough kills that Goldeen can come in quite safely on the final Ivysaur and hopefully get the win with Peck. So we're going to go for the Bubble Beams, but it doesn't really do too much, and Goldeen has to come in early. We get Leech Seeded twice, and only then Vine comes in right at the end, so he gets a very clutch last minute win. Very annoying, but let's try this again. If we can get better luck against this Pidgeotto, we will be sailing. So Pidgeotto this time deals a lot of damage out. We're on 6 HP and it pretty much goes the same as last time. We bring in Starmie again, who can Bubble Beam, and then use Bubble Beam against the Raticate. We don't take too much damage from the next two Pokemon, and thanks to that Psychic typing, they will not use many Psychic type moves on us. We go into the Ivysaur with 45 HP and we go for Bide. 2 Vine Whips come in and the Bide works. Never thought I'd be using Bide this far into this run, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, and if you work it right, Bide can actually be a pretty good move. As much as I've trashed on it a hell of a lot over the years. That brings us to Surge, and I'm not looking forward to this one whatsoever. Of course, we want to try and get the Thunder Waves off as soon as possible, because it can hit Electric types as far as I'm aware. Yeah, weird. Electric type move and it can still hit Electric types as a status move, so weird. Gen 1 is weird. Anyway, once we get the Pikachu paralysed, it then paralyses us with Thunder Wave, but we can get it taken down, bringing us into the Raichu. If we can get it paralysed, which we can't there, we probably would be a lot better. So we go for Goldeen, and 1 Thundershock takes it down. We are not looking good right now. We take a Bide Thunderbolt, and yeah, we might have to skip Surge for now, but we do really need the level cap to go higher right now. So it's either we win, we beat him here, or we move on and cancel this run and make it a loss. This time round though, we get much luckier. We get into the Pikachu and paralyze it before Staryu will actually fall. Oh, it managed to hang on with 4 HP. Can we get a Thunder Wave off on the Raichu? And that's the difference. Starmie can then come in after Goldeen. We can get it confused. It's para-confused now. No way Goldeen's going to do this. He hits himself with Confusion 3 times in a row. And Goldeen, of all Pokemon in this team, gets the win against Raichu at level 20. That's what happens when your luck gets really good. That brings us then to the Rapping Lass on the east of Cerulean. Now, she's not too much of a problem whatsoever. She is honestly kind of easy, but considering we've got a full water team and she's got a full grass team, we do struggle a little bit. We really need to get the Supersonics off to confuse them and then go into the Pecks, because if they're confused and they're halfway through Rap, it cancels it out. We bring in Starmie, who has now got the move Thunderbolt, and it is not doing much whatsoever. We get put to sleep. And you know what? I debated actually resetting here, because this is just turning into a ridiculous back and forth with Rap and Sleep Powder. These Bellsprouts are an absolute nightmare when you're a water team, and you don't outspeed them. When we can finally get a bit of luck and Bide actually sets up, we can actually hit with Bide, which doesn't do very much, because if you've known anything about my channel, I've talked about this in length before. When you're using Bide and the other Pokemon uses Rap, it only counts for the first turn of Rap being used to accumulate the damage. So even if you hit Rap 5 times and you deal maybe 20 damage out with that, it'll only count for the first 4 damage. So yeah, double check my maths there, because I think I got that right. We do eventually beat the Rapping Lass after many attempts and progress onto Rock Tunnel. And Rock Tunnel brings its own problems, really. That being in the form of the Pokemaniacs. The hikers aren't much of a problem, but there are junior trainers as well here that are a bit of an issue. Cubone, not a problem to take down, a couple of water guns takes it out. And then that brings us to the Slowpokes, which kind of resist everything that we've got. So we have to rely on like our bigger hitting moves, or we need to use Bide. But we can also use Thunderbolt to get through them quite quickly. That brings us to the Exploding Hiker, and of course he is not a problem for a Staryu with Water Gun. All of his Pokemon are 4 times weak to water, and even the Graveler itself can't even tank a Water Gun. We get the win, we move through to Lavender Tower, and with Lavender Tower comes more issues. Of course that also means we can pick up the Max Ether and then head on to the rival. Or we could head straight over to Celadon and try the Grass Gym, which probably isn't advisory considering, again, we're allergic to a little blade of grass, but we've got to work with what we've got to work with. This time going against the Pidgeotto, we are not worried whatsoever considering we have Thunderbolt on our moveset. We're also not worried about the Gyarados, and he was an absolute nightmare in that Nuzlocke video, wasn't he? How many Pokemon did he KO that? I like Gyarados, but he's really annoyed me now. I really don't like him. Starmie absolutely swamps this fight, all the way up to the Ivysaur, where, unless we can get Bide to work for us again, I don't think we're going to be able to beat him with just Starmie. He goes for Leech Seed twice in a row, and we get at least 3 Thunderbolts off before... Oh, he goes for another Leech Seed, wow. Then hits us with Vine Whip, takes us out. So we managed to at least take out half his HP, and he's also been paralysed, which is perfect. We can get a few more tackles in before the Vine Whips come out. We might be able to take this Ivysaur down before we lose. And then we go, Staryu has taken the win against the rival. Didn't even need Goldeen for this one. And we can progress on to Cerulean City, where we are going to invest in a lot of TMs. Reason why, there are some good TMs here, the likes of Hyper Beam, which you can get out of the game corner, but you can also get some other good, decent moves from the guys in Cerulean City department store. We'll go and pick up the PP up as well, because there are 2 found in Cerulean City, and we will go and try Erika now. We have gone and taught Ice Beam to our Starmie, so at least that Pokemon's got a little bit of an edge, but we are very underleveled compared to this gym. Let's see how we do. Erika is up first, and that means Victory Bell. If we can get the Thunder Wave off, we can at least have a little bit of a chance. Razor Leaf does hit though, but Starmie's already done it. Staryu's already done its work. We bring in Ice Beam on Starmie, and we get the Victory Bell down. That is probably the most scary Pokemon on her team. Ice Beam then sweeps through the Tangela, and then last up is Vileplume. We're going to switch into Goldeen first, because if we can get the Supersonic off, which doesn't happen, we'd have been in a much better position. Now we just got to rely on Ice Beam, but Mega Drain does tons of damage, so it's going to take at least 3 Ice Beams to work, but we get put to sleep and we take an L. I knew this was going to be a difficult gym, but I didn't realise how difficult. This took me quite a lot of tries before this attempt actually came around, and this attempt just went completely our way. We do get put to sleep straight away and taken out by Razor Leaf, which was pretty standard for most of these attempts. But this time we bring in Goldeen, and with the Power Confuse, Goldeen does damage. It manages to nearly take out the victory. Well, actually, it does. It takes out the Victory Bell and then brings us into the Tangela. If we can get it Supersonic as well to be confused, we've got more to work with to actually take out this Tangela with just Goldeen. And you know what? Goldeen, give it its credit, it's actually pulling its weight in this team a lot more than Staryu actually is. Staryu I have been using more as a utility Pokemon with Thunder Wave and Reflect, but wow. Goldeen actually does alright in this fight. Bind misses, Goldeen gets the last peck in for a win, and that brings us into Vileplume. Now we can get a Supersonic up, which we do. Goldeen can do even more damage before being taken down by Vileplume, but that is more than enough for what Starmie needs to come in with Ice Beam, tank a Mega Drain, and Ice Beam will get the second hit, will get the win. That was well hard fought, but we managed to do it, and we can continue on this run at the level cap of 43. So what happens next? Next up is, of course, going to be the Rocket Corner. Or we could, we need the Rocket Corner to get the Silph Co before we can actually go and get the Fishing Rods. Or at least the Fishing Rods we need to actually go and catch the other 2 members of our team. But so far, I'm quite happy with how this team's been working. With having Reflect on Staryu, it gives us a good move to work with to increase defense. But even with that, this Rat Hit still manages to take Staryu out lane 24. Goldeen then comes in, and it's proven still more worthy than Staryu in this regard. And I never thought I'd be saying that at the start of this video. This brings us to Giovanni, the very first Giovanni fight, and we start off with our ace Starmie. Might as well just try and get through this fight as quick as we can, because, well, I don't really like going against Giovanni. He's kind of boring in this very first fight. Especially with a water team. There's not really too much he can do against us. Get the win very comfortably, and then move on to Lavender Tower. Now we've got the Silph Scope, of course. So, once we've gone from here, I also forgot that I hadn't taught Dig at this point, so I had to also, run out of here, by going against a few more trainers. The reason why we haven't taught Dig to any Pokemon yet is because Psyduck can actually learn Dig, and I'd rather have Dig on our moveset as a bit more of a utility move, a bit more move coverage, for when we get to the later stages of the game, because that move will be incredibly well needed. So we do fight our way out. I'm surprised that these guys don't actually run out at the same time as Giovanni does, but they are rockets, they are kind of dumb. That brings us to Lavender Tower, and there's not really too much to talk about in Lavender Tower. Once we've flushed out the goons, it'll be pretty easy. We're going to go and open Saffron up first, because there is another TM move that we want here, and that is going into this house here, talking to Mr. Psychic and getting the Psychic TM. Perfect for Starmie, because now we've got full move coverage that we want on this Pokemon. This is the final moveset we have for Starmie, and if we pick up moves such as Hydro Pump, Thunder, even Blizzard, we'll put them onto the Staryu to make it bulkier. Anyway, beating out Lavender Tower, we've now opened up the game to go and get the Super Rod. And that's the exact item we need to go and catch the next 2 Pokemon. So once you go down south from Lavender Tower, go fight a few trainers, and these are kind of annoying, but then you can get past the Snorlax and we don't need to catch it, so we can run away. Straight away down here, get past this one last guy, and then we head to the Fishing Brothers house. We get the Super Rod, and now we can go and catch ourselves a Psyduck, which I went back to Cerulean City for. Yes, I am using Master Balls like in most of these challenge runs, because these are actually part of the team and I just couldn't be bothered to try and catch them normally, so yeah, we are using Master Balls. Next up, we need to go and pick up our Horsey, and the best place to go and catch this, in my opinion, is to the south of Fuchsia City. So once you've got into Fuchsia and stolen the bike to get down the bike path, we can go and fish in this patch down here. Now you can get through these 2 guys here. I was kind of wondering, will that second guy see me? But no, he doesn't. So we use the Super Rod, we find our Horsey, and we catch it with the Ultra Balls, because I ran out of Master Balls. And there is our full team. We've got Horsey, the dragon Pokemon, which it isn't a dragon until Kingdra. You lied to us, Game Freak. Anyway, now we can go and pick up the best water type move that will be taught to every single one of our team. We will go and pick up HMO3, which is Surf. Hands down, in my opinion, the best TM that there actually is, because it's got utility out of battle, it's got utility in battle. It's just a great move overall. This is the quickest way to go around the Safari Zone. You need to also pick up the Gold Teeth, and then go into this house right at the end to pick up HMO3, which is Surf. From here, every single one of our Pokemon has got a great water type move to work with. We go and get Strength as well, which we will teach to Psyduck, and then we will head against the Gym Leader. Now, Gym Leader here is not really going to be too much of a problem, really. He never really is, unless you've got Pokemon that are weak to poison types. But this is where Horsey really shows where it shines. Horsey learns the move Smokescreen, which is pretty much the normal, like it's pretty much like Sand Attack, just Sand Attack seems to work better in my opinion. But it does enough to get enough Smokescreens up on the coffin before going down. Goldeen takes a big sludge, and you know what, we're actually struggling in this fight so far. We're only on the first coffin and we're 2 Pokemon down. This is where we bring in our Digging Duck, and from here the fight gets a lot easier. We do get poisoned by the Muck, which is very annoying, and then Muck starts attaching X attacks to it and one-shotting every one of our team. We bring in Starmie as our biggest Pokemon, and even that gets down to less than half HP from 1 sludge. Can Starmie hold out here? It one-shots the coffin. Weezing is up next, and even if it self-destructs here, which it doesn't because we take it out in 1, we would have still won because we had Starmie in the back. Happy with that win because that was difficult. We'll probably teach Toxic to Horsey just to give it more utility. But now we have a bigger challenge, and that is Silph Co. Silph Co is... it's fine. But the rival here is a big problem. He is notoriously a hard trainer at this point in the game, and we are very underleveled compared to the level cap right now. But our water type team are just shredding through most people. Horsey, even in itself, is doing well with Surf, and if you've watched this channel a long time, you know that Horsey is not my favourite Pokemon. It seems to be a big fan favourite with a lot of you guys, but I am not a fan of Horsey and Seadra. And that all comes down to the Seadra run that was done, probably the 7th video on my entire channel. Yeah, I did a Seadra only run, and it did really bad. It actually ended up in E tier, whereas Horsey actually, when I came back to it like 100 videos later, it actually did alright. So Horsey does rank higher on my rankings than Seadra does. But I didn't know the game anywhere near as good as I do now, and that's the reason why Seadra is in that E tier, barely hanging on. It's the same tier the Bulbasaur's in. And considering I've had a lot more practice with Bulbasaurs in these last couple of runs, we probably would do better with those Pokemon if we did them now. I've talked enough now, let's talk about the Rival 5. Here we go. Let's get Smokescreen set up. Whirlwind doesn't do anything, so we can quite comfortably set up some Smokescreens. And then we'll set up Toxic as well. Quick Attack is not doing all too much to us. We managed to get all the Smokescreens set up. Wow, that critical hit really does matter. If we can get Toxic set up before Horsey falls, that would be perfect, but we're going to switch out into our Psyduck. Oh no, which are we? Nah. We're going to Starmie. No, Staryu. Staryu, go for Staryu. From there, we can use Reflect and get our defenses up. And use... Now we can't use Thunder Wave because it's already poisoned. What am I talking about? Let's go into Starmie and use Thunderbolt. It's a one-shot from there. And that brings us into the next Pokemon, which is Gyarados. And we should be a one-shot here with Thunderbolt. It's nearly a one-shot. That's kind of worrying, considering we've got very good specials. So yeah, that's kind of worrying that we weren't one-shotting that Gyarados. But the next Pokemon coming up, all go down pretty comfortably. Alakazam, if we can get it frozen, will become very, very easy. But we don't seem to get the freeze too easy. He does start using Recover quite a lot, and then does take down Starmie with a Psybeam. That means we can bring Horsey back in. If it can at least do something, which it can't, then we'll have to bring in Psyduck. Psyduck goes for the strengths, and it's got decent attack compared to some of the others, so we might as well go for the strengths and go for physical attack in Psyduck. Confusion does take it out in one, and we are looking pretty bad here. We try and Supersonic the Alakazam and use Horn Attack on Goldeen because it's got decent attack as well, and Alakazam's defenses aren't very good. Its recovers are so annoying. We managed to get him confused again, but he still manages to get a recover in, and this is just a never-ending fight against this Alakazam. Can Staryu do this from here? I'm going to go for the Thunder Wave, try and get the Pyro Confuse up, and hopefully from here we can actually do something with this. But the last Pokemon coming up, it will be the Venusaur, which we will not see. We might need a couple more levels here to make this possible. So, I'm going to give this one more try at the same level. Level 33 here on Horsey, we get the Smokescreen set up straight away again. Best strategy to go with, and I probably should have set up Toxic a little bit earlier, but we've got 12 HP left to work with, and we're just going to let the Toxic do its damage. Once Smokescreens have all been set up, he shouldn't be able to hit us very much, but he does get a standard attack off to deal a bit more damage out on us. We switch out into Goldeen now because the next Pokemon coming up, we might as well try and get it confused. If we can get it confused, we can deal out big damage, but I'm going to switch straight into Starmie here, get the Thunderbolt off, because Gyarados is quite scary and I'd rather not take a lot of damage from it. Dragon Rage takes off more than half our health, and from there, same verse, second and first, we can actually take down the Growler from one hit and then try and freeze this Alakazam with Ice Beam. We get it on the second Ice Beam, which is perfect, but it's making me worried about how this Alakazam is going to be in the later fights. Last up is going to be Venusaur, and we switch back into our Horsey, which we tried to get a Smokescreen off, but it's not as quick as the Venusaur. And Venusaur just starts tearing through our team with Razor Leaf. This isn't looking good whatsoever. If Staryu can get a Thunder Wave off because it's very speedy, that's perfect. We can at least outspeed with the next Pokemon coming out. We send in Psyduck, who can at least try and get a dig in and get a little bit of chip damage before we have to just rely on Starmie, the ever reliable. We go for Psyche, which is super effective, and a critical hit gets us the win. Quite happy with that, but that was difficult. That Alakazam is a real problem, and so is that Venusaur for our team. So we'll have to think of something different for later on. Oh, the other rule that I forgot to mention as well, all these Pokemon here, because Misty within the Indigo Plateau, well, the Indigo League anime, does not evolve any of these Pokemon. They're all going to stay in these base forms that they're in. I mean, Starmie is an exception because it was already one of our Pokemon as a Starmie evolved. So that's the reason why it's here along with Staryu. So against Giovanni, we get through his first couple of Pokemon pretty comfortably, and Goldeen manages to get a win with a Confusion. That brings us into Rhyhorn, where Goldeen just goes mental on this whole team. One Goldeen level 32 is just tearing through all of Giovanni's team. Can we get the win with just Goldeen? Yes, we can, because he goes for Guard Spec. Wow, Goldeen again clutching up. Maybe this little goldfish has been overlooked way too much. But we cannot let it evolve, because she never had a Seeking in the anime. That brings us through to the next gym leader, because Silph Co is all complete now, so we can move on to Sabrina. And Sabrina shouldn't be too bad apart from the Alakazam, but we'll have to soon find out. What can we do, and what strategy should we use? We know Psyduck's our biggest physical attacker right now because he's got the best physical attacking moves, and we've used a few proteins to boost that a bit. That brings us to Sabrina, and from here we will start the fight. What can we do here? First out is Kadabra, and we've gone with Goldeen as our lead, who goes nearly down to a Psybeam straight away. We try and get a Horn attack in, and Goldeen gets the win against Kadabra. This Goldeen is clutched up so much with confusion, but it goes down to the Mr. Mime. Next we bring up Horsey, and if we're going for the smokescreen strats again. We can get a couple smoke screens off, get the Toxic up, so Horsey could beat this Mr. Mime. The Mr. Mime itself is only seeming to go for Light Screams and Reflex. So from there we Toxic it, and we're just going to try and whittle it down as quick as we can. Surfs aren't doing very much because Horsey is not the strongest of Pokemon, but with these utility moves that it does get, we actually can get the win. That brings us into Venomoth, and again, we can't actually poison this one because it is a poison type itself, it's a bug poison. So Horsey will just get the smoke screens off before it will eventually fall. Or will it? Because we've got enough smoke screens off that it won't actually hit us very much. So then we can get into the Surfs. I did misclick on Toxic there, I completely forgot that it was poison type. But Horsey clutches up and gets another win against another Pokemon. That's 2 out of the 4 it's taken down, and only Goldeen and Horsey have seen fights in this battle. We get the smoke screens off against the Alakazam. Psywave does 10 damage. I am going to get around to doing a Psywave only challenge, as one of my subscribers commented down in one of the previous videos, because it does seem like it would be quite a fun run considering Psywave does random damage. Horsey gets taken down and we're brought into Staryu, who gets taken down immediately. Psyduck comes in, and we manage to get at least one dig off before he starts trying to set up to some... Oh man, Hyper Potion comes out. Can Psyduck clutch up here? Toxic is just destroying his HP stat, but he keeps recovering, but with him only recovering, it means he can't do anything else. Toxic finally takes hold, and I'm going to give that win to Horsey there instead of Psyduck. That's 6 badges in total, and we can move down to Cinnabar for the easiest gym in this entire challenge. And that, of course, is Blaine's Fire-type gym. But of course, we need to go and get the secret key first, so let's go through the mansion. I will show you the quickest way to do this without fighting any mandatory trainers. And we can also pick up TM14, which is Blizzard. Great move to have, and we'll probably teach that to Staryu. But yeah, you can get through the whole Pokemon Mansion without even needing to fight a single trainer. Once you've picked up the secret key, you can also pick up a rare candy around here. I think it's just over here. Whereabouts is it? There it is. You have to be on a specific place, looking in a specific direction, but you can pick up 2 rare candies literally in the same room. Now we've picked all the items up, I actually don't want to use Dig yet. So we're going to have to run our way back out of this. And it's not as hard to get out as it is just more annoying, really. Why is that door closed behind you? And then once we go up the stairs... Oh, I always get myself a bit stuck on there. We can then easily get out. Reason why I didn't dig out as well is because I hadn't put the spawn point to Cinnabar's Pokemon Center. But in hindsight, it probably still would have been quicker to have done that. Anyway, hindsight's 2020, and we can go against Blaine. We start off with Staryu, and when it gets recovered, it becomes a lot more usable. Surf does powerful damage on Growlithe, but it's still not a one-shot. We are in the early 30s here. We haven't even reached mid-30s for our team. Staryu having Thunder Wave, Recover and Surf is an honestly unbelievable combination. It's not the bulkiest of Pokemon, but this combination means it can actually last a lot longer in fights. Thunder Wave means it can outspeed, definitely. And Surf is just a great utility stat move for us. Take down the Rapidash, and we are still on full HP going into the Arcanine. If we get hit by a takedown, yeah, it's a one-shot because we are quite squishy. That brings us into Psyduck, who of course can use Surf, and he also can use Dig, 2 super effective moves against the Fire type. We managed to do decent damage, but if we get hit by a takedown, we are going to lose this fight against the Arcanine. Psyduck clutches up though, and of course Psyduck gets the win. From there, we only have one more gym badge to contend with before we become the best gym leader in Kanto as the water type gym leader. And from here, we go into the... I went into the Giovanni fight with Staryu on 5 HP. It's a good thing it gets recover, but my god, that could have went south so fast. Anyway, Staryu, once it is recovered fully up, we can use Surf to one-shot the Rhyhorn. Dugtrio out next, and we can't outspeed it because Dugtrio is incredibly quick, but we managed to get 2 Surfs around the Growls. Next up is Nidoqueen, and I am going to switch now into Horsey, sorry. If we can Smoke Screen or use Surf here, so Horsey can do all it needs. It gets a critical hit against the Nidoqueen, but it's not enough for a Body Slam and we get taken down. Psyduck then gets taken down by the same Body Slam, and wow, this Nidoqueen is becoming a big problem. Goldeen manages to clean up the job with the ever-reliable Goldeen that it is. Wow, Goldeen has honestly been clutch in so many fights in this video. And even against the Nidoking, we manage to get down to low HP before bringing Staryu back in for the final Surf. That just leaves Rhydon, who is 4 times weak to water. And there we go. That is 8 gym badges, and Misty has become the best gym leader in Kanto. But we've got our sights set higher. We want to go against the Pokemon League. Before that, of course, the rival wants another fight against us. So we're going to give it to him, and at level 38, this team is going to go hell for leather against him. We use Smokescreen against the Pidgeot just to try and set up like we did before with Horsey. It's a good lead Pokemon when you've got Smokescreen to work with. We've also learned Agility so we can badge boost a bit and also outspeed. And if we can get Toxic set up before this Pokemon goes down on another Pokemon, then yeah, it's done its work. Toxic works its magic and so does Surf, and that brings us into Rhyhorn. We will go down to another Surf. Rhyhorn is honestly kind of a garbage Pokemon. That brings us into Gyarados, and of course we want to get the Toxic set up before we get taken down. Can we get a few smoke screens as well? No, Dragon Rage takes us down, but Horsey has done its absolute work there. It's taken down 2 of his Pokemon. Starmie can clean up on the 3rd and the 4th with Surf. And then that brings us to Alakazam. Again, if we can get the freeze here, that'd be perfect because he has been a big thorn in our side so far. We get the freeze on the 2nd Ice Beam. Man, my luck with Ice Beams is amazing. And from there, it's all up to us to take it down with Thunderbolt. But the big problem is out next, and that is Venusaur. Can we get the freeze on this as well, or we can go for the Psychic? Vine Whip does tons of damage, but we can tank it, giving us the win first time. Happy with that. I'm very, very happy with that, if I'm being honest. That brings us to the Pokemon League, and of course, it is Water-type trainer versus Water-type trainer with Lorelei. Yes, I know she is supposed to be an Ice-type trainer, but majority of her team are Water-type. So, we lead with Starmie with Thunderbolt. We are going into this at level 40. We're actually doing really well compared to the Brock run, where he was already in the 50s before even beating Lorelei. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how our progress is going so far. Thunderbolt just tears through the first few Pokemon. Slowbro is out next. And it's going to take a couple more Thunderbolts to take it down. It is more specially bulky than the others. And we start hitting ourselves with Confusion, which is just perfect some days. We get it down to very low HP and we are running out of Thunderbolts. So how do we do against Jinx? Well, we're going to switch into Horsey here. If we can get the Toxic up, that'd be perfect. Or at least a couple of smoke screens. But Thrash does tons of damage and takes down Horsey. Psyduck is out next, and Dick would do big damage against it, so we're going to try for as many of them as possible. We managed to hit a few digs, and Jinx does get taken down eventually. That brings Psyduck into Lapras, and we don't have too much here to work with. We just got a little bit of chip damage before Psyduck will inevitably fall. We bring in Staryu, and Staryu does learn Minimize, but it was after this fight that I realised, you know what? Minimize is pretty much double team. So I switched out to Staryu. It's not to cheese this. I did use Minimize a little bit, but you know what? I'm going to switch out of it because I don't like using double team or anything like that. And we will see if we can still win this fight without Minimize. Body Slam does not do enough to beat Starmie, and we managed to get a clutch win. But yeah, we are going to have to get rid of Minimize because that move is just way too cheesy. It's pretty much double team. But yeah, I just don't like using double team. It just makes these runs way too easy. So I'll have to add that to the moveset as well. That Minimize is also banned now from now on. Going into Bruno, and he is not a problem whatsoever. We get a couple of smoke screens up, and then I set up our agilities, set up the toxics, and from there we just surf through for a win. I'm trying to make sure that this Onyx does not go down to many surfs, just so we can deal as much damage out with Toxic as possible. We Toxic the Hitmonchan and then go straight for the surfs. Now we have got full badge boost set up. Horsey level 40 is just sweeping this entire fight. We get through the Hitmon League and he goes for X defend, meaning we can take down the third Pokemon with just Horsey alone. Onyx is out next, and again it is 4 times weak to water. And that brings us into the final Pokemon, which is Machamp, and he actually is kind of scary sometimes. We set up Toxic, we hit him with Surf, but we can outspeed, which means Fissure will do nothing against us. He goes for Leers, but it's not enough, and Horsey gets a full sweep on Bruno at level 41, which is insane. He's 18 levels lower than Machamp, and we still managed to sweep. That brings us into Agatha, and we have got one Pokemon that we need for this, and that of course is Starmie. If at the very worst, we have Psyduck in the backup with Dig to work with. But Starmie is just an absolute tank in this fight. The worst thing they can do is put us to sleep, confuse us, and use Nightshade. Golbat is out next, and we've taken out 2 of their Pokemon before we actually got through. And Golbat manages to tank it with 1 HP there. Arbok is out 5th, and from here Psychic will take it down. No, Arbok's out 4th, there's only 5 Pokemon in these. Last up is Gengar, and my voice is getting very, very sore right now, so I'm glad this is the very last video we're doing of the year. We get the win against Agatha for the first time and move on to the Dragon Trainer, well, the Flying type trainer Lance. 2 fights left to go, and as we're looking right now, I feel like we are going to beat this before the level 50 level cap. Let's see how we do. Starmie is up first against Gyarados, and it is a one-shot with a critical hit, which is perfect. Next up is Dragonair, but because we're a Psychic type, they will use other moves like Slam and Hyper Beam. And that's not a great position to be in because we need Ice Beam for the Dragons. We get all the way through to the Aerodactyl. Can we outspeed? No, we can't, and we get confused. And we manage to get 1 Surf off before Starmie is taken down by Takedown. So we can bring in Psyduck, who can get last minute surfing after hitting itself in confusion and getting it gets hit by Hyper Beam. Can Horsey clutch up as per normal in the last few runs? It manages to take down the Aerodactyl nearly 20 levels above it, and we're into the Dragonite. As long as we can set up Toxic here, which we can't, that would have been a win. So we got to go for the Goldeen. And this is actually kind of worrying right now. We do have Blizzard set up on Staryu in the backup, and we are going to have to resort to it. So we go for the Blizzard, and a second it hits the Zone Confusion, we win. Wow. That was very on the edge. We nearly lost there. Just got 1 fight left, and that is Starlaw as the champion. Can this level pretty much 40 team beat the champion? I used the last of my rare candies to get him up to level 45 here, and from now Starmie just goes ballistic. Psychic does big damage on us, but we need to get that freeze on the Alakazam to make this a lot easier on ourselves. We don't get on the 3rd. Can we get on the 4th? We don't. 5th? 6th time lucky? 6th time lucky, there we go. Okay, we can switch into our Horsey. Now we'll go Staryu. We are going to set up Light Scream now, so we've got more to work with on special attacks, and then switch straight back into Horsey. And from here we'll set up our agilities, because the next couple of Pokemon out will go down to a lot of surfs. We take down the Alakazam, and next up is the Rhydon. Rhydon is 4 times weak to water type moves, so we're just going to go straight for the surf, and it's a one-shot as per normal. Gyarados is out next, and as long as we can get Smokescreen and Toxic set up, we should be alright here. We don't tank Hyper Beam, okay? It's just looking a bit dicey now. Thunderbolt, can that one-shot? It can't, but we get hit by a Leer, badge boosting us a tiny bit. And that brings out the Arcanine now. Can we one-shot it with Surf? No, we can't. He misses a Leer, and yes, we get through all the way to the Venusaur. Can we outspeed this Venusaur? Did those Leers make the difference? We're going to go for... Should we go for Ice Beam or Psychic here? We'll go for Ice Beam, and Razor Leaf takes us down. This is a bad situation now. Can we Wow, Staryu at level 45 outspeeds a Venusaur, and Blizzard gets us the win. We did it! We beat Pokemon Blue using Misty's anime team only. Considering Team Rocket nor Brock could do this at the level cap, Misty proves herself out of the three to be the best team, the best trainer. Staryu at level 46, Golden level 45, Staryu at level 45, Horsey level 45, which clutched up so much, that Horsey, wow. And we finished the game in 6 hours 39 minutes. We did it. And that concludes the month for RetroBrown, because as I said before, Wacko lost some footage for the collab content we were going to do the next couple of days. So unfortunately this is the very last video of the year. Please smash that like and subscribe, you legends, and we will see you next year for another solo run. Take care.